Hey guys, today I'm talking with Nancy Crochiere about her debut novel, Graceland. Hi, Miss Nancy.
Hi, Reagan. How you doing?
I'm good. It's so nice to be talking with you. Of
It was an honor to be chosen as your book pick for
course.
July. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. It's such a great book. I have a lot of family in the South. So since it's set in Memphis and we visit a lot, like the setting and just the book itself means a lot to me. Does like Memphis have a personal connection with you at all?
Before I started writing the book, it didn't, but I have grown to love Memphis very much. I originally conceived of this road trip that went from Boston to Memphis because I wanted Graceland to be the destination. And so I visited Memphis a number of times, and I really love it there. There's so many fun things to see. I mean, Sun Studios, where Elvis first recorded, and the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis is one of my favorite places. It's an amazing museum.
We always do a ton of museums whenever we go on trips. And so we've gone to that one a lot and it's amazing. I love it. So I have another question. And so you have Olivia, who is so sure of herself. You have Hope, who just wants to, connect with her daughter, and Dylan, who is set on changing the world. And who do you think you're the most like?
I think I'm the most like Hope, to be honest. I'm Hope is kind of a people pleaser. She's a little bit of an introvert. She likes books, and she just doesn't want to be in the spotlight. So I think probably she was the most like me. But I think as an author, there's something of you in all your
Yeah.
characters. And you probably find that too with acting, is that you bring something of yourself to anything you
Yeah.
do.
But so I
Yeah.
feel like probably a combination of Hope and Dylan. And they're so different, but I'm the gray area in between us. And it's very funny.
No, I definitely, I think Dylan is such a fun character and such an admirable character. She's very impulsive, so she gets into trouble all the time, but she believes so strongly in her principles, and she can get pretty angry, when people aren't believing the things that she believes are right. And I was saying to somebody recently that if this is ever made into a movie, I think you would make a fabulous Dylan.
Oh my gosh. And I get to have pink hair.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun? I don't know how your mother would feel about that though.
So how you said how you put each of like little bits of yourself into every character. Like, are the three women based off of people in your life, or are they completely imaginative?
Well, in terms of, it's a large part of imagination, but I have two daughters, so I know something about teenage daughters and some of the trouble that they can get into. So there's some of Dylan that came from that. In terms of Olivia, she is just sort of one of those characters that sprang fully formed from my imagination, but she was always very definite about Olivia just almost told me what she wanted to say. Olivia is a flamboyant soap opera star, and she's loved Elvis all her life, and she is quite the over the top character, and an actress, a former soap actress. So she just always knew exactly. I always knew what Olivia was going to do in any situation.
Her and Dylan's scenes were the funniest. I was like, I can just have a whole book of just, I can have a whole series of just her and Dylan just bantering. It is so funny. The scene where Hope gets the call from the nurse and they're like, "We lost your mother." I was like, "What?" I finished that chapter and then I had to go do something because we were on vacation when I was reading it. And so I had to go, like, I couldn't finish reading it. And I was like, no, but I need to know what happened.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's exactly what an author wants a book to do, right? Is to make you not want to put it down. Dylan and Olivia together, they're such um, they're both kind of Captain Happen characters, meaning they make things happen, and Hope is just the opposite. So I was a little bit worried about pairing Dylan and Olivia so much of the time that they would steal the show. But Hope and Jordan have their own little dynamic going. I wanted it to be both funny and fast paced. And so a road trip chase seemed to me the best way for anybody who is listening to this who hasn't read it. You know, Dylan and Olivia take off, and Hope has to chase after them. And she brings her cousin Jordan along for the ride. And it is. Yeah, it's quite the chase.
One of the questions I ask a lot, and it's always one that I really am excited to know, is what was the inspiration for the book? And did you have like the story like set in stone from the beginning, or were there moments where the story even surprised you?
There were definitely moments where the story surprised me. Yeah. This was my first novel. I've written a lot of other stuff in my life, but this was the first time writing a novel. And so I didn't really know what I was doing, to be perfectly honest, at the start. And it took me a while because I wasn't just writing a novel, I was learning to write a novel. And so I started things going, and I had this idea about this mother, this grandmother, and this granddaughter who are very much alike in their personalities, and neither of them are very much like the mother. And I think that happens in families. So that was my original conception of the story. Was that they would take off on some caper, and the mother would just have to stop them, because whatever they wanted to do was something that she did not want to happen, absolutely did not want to happen. And that's really where it started. All of the characters are kind of struggling with their identity on this road trip,
Yeah.
and including Olivia, who's been an actress and for so long that she has trouble separating from the character, the evil villainess that she played on the soap opera for so many years. She just doesn't. She's not quite sure who she is when she's not that character.
Yeah. Watching her like struggle trying to separate like her character and herself was so sweet watching it evolve. And also watching Dylan kind of be there for her, even though I don't think Dylan wasn't really aware that she
No.
was helping her grandmother, but she really was.
I think that's very true, and that's very perceptive of you to notice that. I think when they start out, Olivia and Dylan, they're not close necessarily. I'd say their personalities are like, but they both have very strong personalities, and they're each on the road trip for their own reason. You know, there's almost the sense that in the beginning they're together, but they're almost using each other, and it's wonderful to see how their relationship kind of grows
Yeah.
and what they end up meaning to each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Olivia's plan, not gonna say what, but
Right.
how in the beginning it was just about Olivia. And then as the story went on, Olivia almost became hesitant in like putting this plan into action because of Dylan. So I know you mentioned that this is your debut book, and I was wondering what was your writing process for that? And like what was something that you found difficult starting off?
Well, I think I started off writing, and I didn't really know much about novel writing. So I didn't understand that, characters had to have a certain arc. And, I took a 1 year course on novel writing, and we learned a lot about how to shape dialogue so that it's nice and tight and interesting, and how to make sure that each of your characters is growing during the road trip. So my writing process was a lot of trial and error, and I tell people honestly, I may have written 500,000 words in order to get down to the 90,000 words that's usual for a novel of this size. But that's a first novel.
So speaking of writing, what is your favorite quote and or scene from the book? There are so many amazing, hilarious moments. So it's probably impossible to choose, but if you can.
Oh, that's a tough question. I do. In terms of quotes, I do love it. There's a scene, but Olivia's getting close to realizing her plan, and she feels like she's all of a sudden, she's never believed in signs, but all of a sudden she sees something that she thinks is a sign that she's on the right path. She said, it's not that I believe that things happen for a reason. It's that I believe that we can make meaning out of what happens to us, and that in fact
Remember
we
that.
must do that. and
I
and i,
love
I love that concept because it's that whole issue, and people can debate it at infinitum, but whether things happen for a reason or whether or not we just sort of make reasons out of what happens in order to make meaning out of our life. So
Yeah, I love that bit. I remember exactly when it is and what you're talking about, and I loved it. It was really sweet.
thank you. And favorite scene, I don't know, there's one where well, I just love the scene in the beginning with Dylan where the car breaks down, and she's very angry, and she's kind of stomping around, and there's a few scenes where Dylan's like that I think are a lot of fun. But I also love the scene where there's a scene where Olivia sort of pretends to faint, and that one was a lot of fun too.
Yes, I remember all of the bits that you're talking about and just thinking, I'm like laughing. I love it.
And another one actually where a bunch of Elvis impersonators are hanging out of a car out of the VW Beetle. That's another one of my
Yes.
favorites.
This whole book, it has so many funny moments. You could just list them all. So Graceland has a strong, like very family oriented message. And it's really about like the end of the book, it's about like family. And it really is about like just bonding together. And why do you feel this story is important like now? And like why did it speak to you?
Well, I definitely feel that family is the most important thing in our lives, family and friends. I mean, I know not everybody's family is perfect, or not everybody is fortunate to have the great family that I do, but it's one of, when we list our values of what's important in life, family and close friends are always right at the top for me.
100%.
So yeah, so I do feel like stories where the characters in the family are at odds with each other, which families often are, let's face it, there's stuff that happens, but sort of find connection. I'm drawn to that sort of story. And probably now because there's so much in our world that's pulling us apart, that it is nice to think about the things that make us have connection, the things that
Yeah.
bring us together, even when you have very different personalities like Olivia and Hope, and Hope, and or Dylan and Hope. You want your characters to find connection.
Yeah, I love that. I 100% agree. Like family, friends, it's always like such an important thing. What did you want readers to take away from Graceland?
I think my main thing that I wanted them to take away had to do with that theme about identity and sort of being who we truly are, embracing who we truly are, as opposed to who we think others want us to be. That was what I was hoping people would come away from as sort of the main idea.
You definitely succeeded. That is 100% what I took away from it. And I can guarantee that is what everyone else has taken away from it. Thank you so much for doing this on your birthday.
No problem. Yeah, yeah. My family is gathered here, so we're gonna all go out to dinner in a little while after this. It's well, I'm on the East Coast, so
Oh, okay.
it's
So it's later there.
yeah, it's almost 3 o'clock here.
Everyone, definitely wish Miss Nancy a happy birthday. And I hope you have such an amazing birthday and
I already have.
have a great dinner with your family as well.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for choosing it again. It just was such a thrill for me, and I'm so excited for your book club. That I'm so impressed that you have made a book club, and can I wish you continued great success with it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to everyone watching, definitely check out Graceland. It is an amazing book and go find it and read it. I promise you, you will not regret it.